Hi, I'm Suzanne. I'm a compulsive overeater. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the Cambridge Gray Sheet, commit them to my sponsor, don't eat in between no matter what, and abstinence gives me my life. And I've shared with you that my abstinence date is February 3rd, 2008. I came into Gray Sheet 11 years after I first crawled into OA at a few months short of 31 years. I had been eating pretty much full time since the age of 16. I had some respites, some breaks in binging when I was on a diet in Weight Watchers for short periods of time. Sometimes if I was obsessed with somebody or I was infatuated with somebody or I had a wonderful new best friend or something, I would have a will to live, and I would find myself wanting not to do what I normally did with food, which was to eat until I was sick, basically to eat until I passed out every day. My upbringing, my childhood was strange, and our house was a sad place, very quiet and sad, except when there was screaming. It wasn't a healthy place. And then sometimes there was music, and it was a house of broken spirits, somewhat, with some interruptions of sometimes, I don't know, humor, maybe sometimes humor, but certainly music, a lot of music. And I am also musical, and I do things with music. But when I was 12, I got my first friend. I won't get into the details of the school I went to, but I changed schools and I got my first friend. And then about 2 years later, she went on with her life and stopped being my friend. And I replaced her with fruit. First, it was fruit, just eating huge pieces of fruit after dinner. And I didn't eat the things on the other side of the Gray Sheet. I think we are allowed to call them sugar or X and flour. I didn't eat those things in great quantities because I wasn't crazy and I didn't want to get fat. So I knew if you ate lots of that stuff, you got fat. I didn't want to be fat. So I ate lots of sugar and numbed myself out and started getting a little chubby and started noticing that I sometimes I didn't have a choice whether to eat or not. There was a truck near the rehearsals of the, oh, I just said, okay, I hope it has been recording me. There was a truck near the rehearsals of the summer show I was in when I was 14 years old, and I could not walk by it without buying something. It was, I mean, I've been in recovery for about 40 years, and a lot has happened in 40 years. I have had excellent outside help. I've discovered the extent to which my soul got crushed. And I also got help with the food. And it's kind of sort of been a hand-in-hand process. Let's see how I can organize this. I experienced my first freedom in OA And at the same time, I had a good new friend. So like my heart was full. I was in joy. I wasn't lonely. And I experienced eating 3 meals a day for the first time in a really long time. And that was exciting. And I started getting my feelings back. I was encouraged to go to therapy. Eventually, I went there. I was encouraged to go to other groups for people with backgrounds like mine. And I could only get a certain amount of freedom with the food there, but it was more than I had known. I hadn't been able to enjoy my food in many, many years because I was too full. I couldn't not be full. Anyway, that's where I started enjoying food. I eventually got a job out of state. There were a lot of people in that OA community in Philadelphia area who had been to a rehab. I ended up going to that rehabilitation center, like a detox center for food. And I was there and also in their halfway house. So I was there for 5 months. I began weighing and measuring without exception, bringing my scale into a restaurant. I loved that. I never had a moment's hesitation. It was like, are you kidding? This gives me my freedom. I have no apologies. I was delighted. And eventually I got to a normal weight. However, I didn't have a community that was right for me, that was good for me. Ultimately, after having a very bad experience in a version of OA, I think it's called the FA or FAA, and I don't care if I'm public about that. I found it very spiritually harsh, and it was bad for me emotionally. And eventually I relapsed, and there was nowhere else to go but Gray Sheet. And I didn't want to come to Gray Sheet because there are certain omissions on the food plan that I didn't have on my other food plan. I didn't think it made sense. I still don't think everything makes sense. But what I do know is that I'm safe. I am physically extremely healthy. I haven't had a snack in 16 and a half years. And my food is the best food I've eaten in my life that I know of. I'm enjoying my food more than I was ever able to enjoy it because there's safety, there's an end to it, and there's a beginning to it. And there was never any of that. I was always, trying to deprive myself and dieting and not eating fats and not eating real food. And this is a joy. I didn't know how many layers down I was going to have to dig to be able to learn the skills of relating to other people, being successful professionally out there in business, knowing how to conduct myself, how to protect myself, what to say yes to, what to say no to. And it's been a real process. Even part of it has included my relationships with my sponsors. I've had the same sponsor for 26 years, but before her, I had a lot of sponsors, and I got fired by one, I fired another, it was a process. So that's one thing I want to say to people, which is that sometimes it takes time to find your right match, and that's okay. It's a big program. There are a lot of people here, and my prayer is that higher power will lead you to all the help you need in every area that you need. I'm feeling a little detached. I just had therapy, and I got in touch with some stuff, got in touch with the fact that I have a lot of grief, and I still compare myself to people who didn't have my background, people who may have functioned in school or like been a normal size in their younger years and had social lives that were different than the social life of somebody who is fat, than me. Anyway, different than my social life. And I've usually resented these people. And God is giving me a great gift because I'm taking a course and I have a little accountability group of 5 other people. And I noticed myself doing the resentful comparisons, like, you have no idea. You didn't go through what I went through. You had a teenagehood. First of all, do I even know? I don't know. But the point is, what I went through was hard. And it wasn't my choice. And I didn't have control. I didn't have power over the health level of my household. And I didn't have any power over what became of me eventually, over the ways that I was broken and the ways I was compelled to humiliate myself and not be able to move forward, not be able to live in a successful way. So I'm learning that stuff. And if I have any message, I'm learning by falling down and getting up and having smart people in the program, out of the program, in professional help, give me information I never had. And a lot of that information I get when I come and I report something that didn't go well. So yay for failing forward. Yay for learning on the job. The job is being alive. And so many times in program, I was told, if you just stay abstinent, all the rest will follow. Or, the rest will work out. It's hard to believe. It sounds like, some kind of cult mantra. But the reality is, if I'm not drugged, and if I'm not busy distracting myself from the issues at hand, I get a chance to be helped. And here's where higher power comes in. I am not 100% in control of all the help that has come to me. I didn't make it all happen. I did want to get well. I think there's a part of me I was discovering today in therapy that doesn't want to get well, that isn't comfortable with the idea of developing a different identity. But there's help that's come my way that I can only call divine. I can only say that somehow I was put in the right places to meet the people who blessed me and gave me that help right when I needed it. It's hard to just jump on. Wait, is this timer for the 10 minutes or for the 15?
For the 15.
For the
So
15?
you have about a minute and a half left.
Right, I see that. Thank you so much. Just, I know I need to learn unconditional acceptance of myself wherever I am. One of my closest gray sheet friends will always say, you're exactly where God needs you to be, higher power. And I don't like that sometimes, but relief comes, new opportunities come, new people come into my life. Not good situations leave my life, even if I'm clinging to them and really wanting them to work out. Higher power sometimes removes people, places, and things that aren't good for me. And I'm here to say I have been helped to get onto the playing field by being abstinent. And I want the willingness to continue to get stronger and more capable and more loving of myself and everybody else. And if I hang in there, if my past is any indication of my future, I heard that, thank you. It's going to keep getting better. It keeps, somebody in Gray Sheet used to say, it doesn't necessarily get better, but I get better. And it can get better, but the world is a tough place. And we can help each other get through it. Thank you for listening.